This video is in response to a question I received earlier today. I will read it. Hello Ryan, that's me. I hope you're doing well. I'm a beginner trader of binary options. I do not actively trade right now. I've been using Nadex in demo to learn and understand trading in this environment for a couple of months. I was wondering if this tool could help me trade in Nadex. Currently, the tools I use are Nadex charts, Forex Factory, and watching webinars to get tips. Is this configured in such a manner as to allow me to put in indices, commodities, and Forex pairs to assist in determining the probability of trade success along with the charts? Do you provide help and instruction on how to use the tool? Okay, so let's get all of those answered first. Do you provide help and instruction on how to use the tool? Yes, we do. Let me go ahead and invite this guy to our chat. Hang on. I'm going to invite him inside the chat room. There we go. I'm going to put in the email address of him, and I'm going to send him an invitation, and that's how we do it. Inside the chat room, you're going to get instruction on things. You got a question, ask. We've got tutorials and things. You just have to go in here, go to additional options, not additional options, go to where's it at, view channel details, and when you get over here to view channel details, you can go down to the pinned items and you can download whatever we have. Like we've got the tool suite classic here, the magnifying glass, watermark, correlation map, all these. Just download what you need. There's also tutorials and things like that. So that's how we help. I'm just working my way backwards here. He asks, can you put in indices, commodities, and Forex pairs? Well, yeah and no. If you use Oanda or Forex.com, probably not. If you use Forex Pro and a couple of other platforms, then yes. They're not the exact future, but what they are, it's called a CFD, but they track tick for tick. Hang on, let me pull that. Oh, it's already on here. This is the Dow Jones 30 or the Wall Street 30. We've got the NASDAQ, S&P 500, Japan 225, US dollar index, Euro 50, and all down the line. And we've got, let me show you what you can get. Okay, so there are Forex majors, which, I mean, you can see what they are there. Forex minors, gold, silver, energy, like oil and whatnot, commodities. I have some of them clicked and some of them I don't. Corn is on Nadex. Soybean is on Nadex. Sugar, wheat, and cotton and cocoa is not, and coffee is not on Nadex. Indices, not the futures, but the spot. If you want indice futures, I'm sorry, that was a futures. Here's a spot. So you can get all this. You can get a few cryptos. So yeah, you can get those. Now, Nadex charts use the spot price, and we use MT4 uses the bid-ask spread. So if you want to see the Nadex price, all you have to do is pull over your binary price indicator right there, configure it however you want, and it'll show you the spot price, or the one that's on Nadex. It doesn't matter on the larger term, on the longer time frames, but on the shorter time frames it does. Like on the minute, you'll see the spot and the bid ask is different. Let me show you. All right, this red line, you can buy it here. This white line, you can sell it here. This is a spot price for Nadex. Even though there is still a bid and ask on there, this is the spot for the binary, like if it closes above or below. So that question is answered. The next question. I was wondering if this tool could help me make trades for Nadex. Yes, it was actually written for binary options. That was the original intent. Now, let's say you want to trade with the RSI. All right. Well, let's go down here and pull the RSI over onto a chart. What this is, it's a technical indicator, and you can use it with various rules. Some people say that when price gets down here, it's a good time to buy, or when price gets up here, it's a good time to sell. Or other people say when price gets up here, it's a good time to buy, and vice versa. Well, how do you know? I mean, you have to go back in the charts and look how often that happens, because you have to know how long am I going to hold the trade, what would my stop loss be, what would my take profit be, things like that. So if you wanted to find out, just to get an idea, what we would want to do is put this on an RSI. And then I'm not going to go down through everything, but we want to go down to the RSI. Actually, how long do we want to hold it? We want to hold it for an expiry of, let's say, a 3 p.m. expiry each day. Okay, so now we're going to go down to the RSI, and we're going to input the same parameters that we have here on this blue chart, which is 14, 70, and 30. The shift, don't worry about it, just leave it alone. You can worry about that next time. And what we want to look at is if price closes below that line right there, cross into overbought or oversold, we want to find out how often price expires. Hang on just a second. Alright, put this down. I'm going to put it like on an hourly chart. You can put it on whatever you want. But on an hourly chart, and I'm going to make that arrow a little bit bigger if I can. There we go. On an hourly chart, let's say you're trading the Dow Jones 30 or the Wall Street 30 on Nadex. And let's say price also goes and closes above, get this in here, closes, well, it probably didn't close above, it probably closed above here. Anyhow, it closes above the overbought line right here. How often does price rise? Well, actually it rises and closes 51% of the time above where it closed here by 3 p.m. It's done it 86 times. Let's try to open up and hang on. We're going to open up the bars here so we get more data. On the Dow Jones 30, you might have to download more data, and you can download more data on just about anything here. This is your history center. It just takes forever, so I'm not going to do it right now. So while we're looking at this, there's one that I have more data on, which is the Euro USD. It's got 1,400 signals here. And over the past 1,400 times this has happened, or over the past 1,400 times the price closed above the overbought area, 48.93% of the time it closed above, if you're buying it up there, and 51% of the time it closed below. So that tells you, what does that tell you? That tells you you don't want to be buying up there, not for a 3 p.m. expiry. You might want to be selling. If you want to actually reverse it, you can go in here and reverse it. Right here, go against signals, true. Now, 51% of the time it closes below there. If you're wanting to take OTMs or out of the monies, or maybe ITMs or in the monies, ITMs will always be behind the signal or behind the arrow. OTMs will always be in front. The ATM line is right here. Will it match up perfectly with Nadex? No, but it will give you a pretty darn close idea of how often things happen and what strike you can take. For instance, if I want to take an OTM 40 pips out every day, right here, down here, I know that 19% of the time it's going to close below there, or it has. It may not in the future, who knows? But over the past 1,400 times this has happened, 19% of the time it is closed down there. However, I also know that over the past 1,400 times, it has lost 29 times in a row, which means it has not closed below here 29 times in a row at some point during the 1,400 signals. So is that something that I know now that I didn't know just a few minutes ago? Yes. On every single signal that you look at, you're going to know something new about it that you didn't know yesterday or the day before. For instance, what if I want to change that RSI? Instead of a 14 period, I want to put it at a 21 period. It changes it slightly. And how does it change the percentages? All I need to do is go down here, scroll to the bottom, and change that to a 21. Now, whenever that happens, let's find one where it happens. Right there, it happened. I know that 47% of the time it don't work, ATM. However, I know that, let's say I wanted to take some ITMs on these, or some 40 pips out per 3 p.m. expiry. If I can get a price, I know that 82% of the time it wins. That's not a very good thing to do. I would rather take it up here for selling against the signal, because I know it's going to win more, because I know it loses more. Watch. I'm going to reverse it again. See, right here, I would want to sell up here because it wins more at 83% than the 82% if I were to buy down here in the previous thing. And we know that over the past 694 times this has happened, 52% of the time it's closed below this ATM line. How many times has it won or lost in a row? Well, it's won 8 times in a row and lost 9 times in a row. This is not a very good strategy. And you know that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that RSI off. We're going to go over here and find something that we think might work, or something I think might work. New trend arrows. New trend arrows are just a variation of the Donchian channels, which were made popular by a guy named Richard Donchian many years ago. What they do, I'm trying to talk and scroll at the same time. Hang on, here we go. What they do is they track the performance of a certain asset over a specific period of time. Right now we're looking at the period of 80, which means we're looking back over the past 80 bars. Now over the past 80 bars, if price breaks out right here, and let me put a Donchian channel up here just so you can see what I'm looking at. And it may not match up exactly perfectly because we have 2 different formulas here, but it'll be pretty darn close. I know that 52% of the time, over the past 517 times that this has happened, prices closed below the ATM line 52% of the time by 3 p.m. And we know that. But we also know that it's won 8 times in a row and lost 8 times in a row, so I don't like this trade either. I want to get this loss rate down below 5. Why? Why would I want to get the loss rate below 5? Why does it matter? Because if I'm looking on here and it's only lost 5 in a row over the past 500 times, or the past 100 times even, and then I look on the chart and it's lost like 3 times in a row, I'm working with probabilities now. It's not like it is on a roulette wheel where every single turn is the same. We're working with people here that have lives, habits, and emotions, and they do the same things every day with habits. So we're working with the probability of the brains of people, pretty much. So over 500 times, we know that this is lost 8 times in a row. However, if you take a step up right here, we know that the ITM line up here, if you were to sell it up here, it would cost you more. We know it wins 61% of the time, and it's only lost 4 times in a row. Now this is good, because if I'm looking on here on a chart, I'm going to look back. If I get a signal, I'm going to look back over the past few times, and I'm going to say, okay, how often did it lose in the recent past? Okay, well, sorry, hang on. Did this one lose? No, it won. It expired up here. What about the previous one? No, it won. So what about this one? The previous one won. These are on a roll pretty much. And the one before that won. And the one before that won. And the one before that won. Okay, so here's a loss. So we know right now that this is on a roll. But we also know that the maximum it's won in a row has been 8. So how many was that? I don't know. Go back and rewind the tape and count it. I don't know, but we're getting pretty close to the maximum run it's had over the past 517 times. So did we know that before? No. We learned that today. Okay, so when is a signal going to come on here? Well, let's look at the past signal and we will find out, because they run in an alternating pattern. Like you'll have one up, one down, one up, one down. See, here's one down. We scroll forward. The next time that price closes above this line and pushes it up, right here we get a signal. The next time price comes down and touches the bottom line, we're going to get a signal. So when price goes from 1.13793 down to 1.13356, if it were to go down here and close below here, a down signal would come, and you will know when that signal is coming. Okay, so I've been talking and yapping for almost 17 minutes now. The only question, my wife just laughed at me from across the room, I swear to God. This was in response to an email question. I meant to make it like 3 minutes long. But the only question I have for you is, did you learn something today that you didn't know yesterday? I've sent you a link. It's from slack.com. That's the chat room. And if anybody else wants a link, send me an email, help@traderbotmarketplace.com, and I'll send you this indicator that we worked with today for free. I don't care. And I will add you to the chat room. And you're not going to be put on a mailing list unless you want to in the future. But anyhow, I don't do all that bunch of nonsense. Okay. All right. I will see you in the... I just cut myself off. I meant to say I will see you in the chat room. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.